I met Ryan during freshman orientation, and from that day on, we were inseparable. He was the kind of guy everyone liked, effortlessly charming, easygoing, the one who could make a whole room laugh without even trying. We ended up as roommates, which felt like fate at the time. It was perfect. Late-night gaming sessions, inside jokes, ordering greasy pizza at 2 a.m. because we both sucked at remembering to eat dinner. It was the kind of friendship people envied, the kind that made college feel less like a series of assignments and more like an adventure. But somewhere along the way, things changed for me. I don't know exactly when it started, but I began noticing things I shouldn't. The way his damp hair curled after a shower, the way his voice softened when he was half asleep, the way his shirt clung to his body when he came back from the gym. It was little things, tiny moments that shouldn't have meant anything, but they did. They made my stomach twist, my pulse race, my thoughts spiral into places they had no business going. I told myself it was just admiration, that it was normal to think your best friend was attractive, that I was overanalyzing every glance, every accidental touch. But deep down, I knew the truth. I liked Ryan, in a way I wasn't supposed to, and the worst part? I couldn't do a damn thing about it. Ryan was straight. At least as far as I knew. He had dated girls, never anything serious, just a string of casual hookups that he never let turn into relationships. He wasn't the type to talk about feelings, and I certainly wasn't about to be the one to bring up mine. So I kept it all buried. I learned to control my reactions, to ignore the way my body betrayed me when he changed his shirt in front of me or sat too close during a movie. I became an expert at pretending, because the risk was too high. If he ever found out, if he even suspected, I knew it would ruin everything, and losing Ryan, that wasn't an option. Tonight, he was out at some party, and I had the dorm to myself. The room felt different when he wasn't here, quieter, emptier. I lay back on my bed, staring at the glow-in-the-dark stars we had stuck to the ceiling. During our first week, I should have been studying, but my mind was elsewhere. It always was these days. I sighed, reaching for my phone. My fingers hovered over his name in my messages, resisting the urge to text him. Instead, I scrolled through my gallery, stopping at a picture from last summer. Ryan grinning at the camera, shirtless at the beach, golden from the sun. My chest tightened. I shouldn't be looking at him like this. But before I could make myself put the phone down, the door swung open. Ryan was back, and he had caught me. The door swung open so fast that I barely had time to react. My body jolted as I fumbled with my phone, my fingers scrambling to close the image, to erase the evidence. But it was too late. Ryan stood there, slightly out of breath, his duffel bag slung over one shoulder, eyes locking onto mine. For a split second, everything froze. The air between us went still, thick with something unspoken, something dangerous. His gaze flickered to my phone, still glowing in my trembling hand, and I knew he had seen it. The picture. The way I had been looking at it. The way my lips had parted just slightly, lost in thoughts I couldn't allow myself to have. What the hell was that? His voice wasn't angry, not yet. But there was something sharp in it, something that sent a cold rush of panic through me. I sat up too quickly, nearly knocking my phone off my lap. "Nothing," I blurted out, my voice too high, too fast. I cleared my throat. Just scrolling. You scared the crap out of me." Ryan's eyes didn't move from my face. He wasn't buying it. That wasn't nothing. He stepped further into the room, letting the door swing shut behind him. His bag dropped to the floor with a dull thud. "I saw the way you were looking at it." My stomach clenched so tight it hurt. I shook my head, forcing out a nervous laugh. "Dude, you're being weird. It was just a photo. You take them all the time. Don't act like what?" His tone was different now, lower, careful. He wasn't letting this go. I swallowed hard. My heart was beating so fast it felt like it might rip out of my chest. My skin burned under his stare, under the weight of the truth pressing against my rib cage, demanding to be let out. I could still lie. I could still pretend. But Ryan wasn't stupid. He knew me too well. He took another step closer, and I flinched, gripping the sheets beneath me as if they could somehow ground me. as if they could somehow erase the way my body had betrayed me. Only moments ago. Were you... He hesitated, exhaling sharply. Were you thinking about me? His words landed like a physical blow, knocking the breath from my lungs. I couldn't move. I couldn't speak. The silence between us stretched, thick with something I had spent years trying to suppress. Ryan let out a bitter chuckle, shaking his head. Jesus, man. Just say something. I opened my mouth, but the words wouldn't come. My throat had closed up, my brain screaming at me to fix this, to undo whatever damage had just been done. But I didn't know how. I started, but my voice cracked, exposing the lie before I could even finish it. I clenched my jaw, inhaling sharply, trying again. It's not what you think. Ryan let out a disbelieving breath, running a hand through his hair. Then what is it? I had no answer. He looked at me like he was seeing me for the first time, like I was suddenly someone unfamiliar, someone he didn't quite know how to react to. I hated it. I hated this. My voice broke again, my hands curling into fists. Ryan, just forget it, okay? It doesn't mean anything. A muscle in his jaw twitched. His entire body was tense, as if he was holding something back. Doesn't mean anything? He repeated, his voice quieter now, but no less intense. Nodded quickly, desperate, clinging to the last shreds of denial, even though we both knew they were slipping through my fingers. He stared at me for a long time, the kind of look that made my chest feel like it was caving in. Then, without another word, he turned and walked out. The next morning, everything felt different. Ryan wasn't in the room when I woke up. His bed was still unmade, the blanket half thrown, off like he had left in a hurry. Normally, he'd be there, still knocked out, maybe groaning about how much he hated early classes if I made too much noise getting dressed. But today, nothing. Just silence. My stomach twisted as I sat up, rubbing a hand over my face. Maybe I was overthinking it. Maybe he had just gone out early for breakfast or decided to crash at someone else's dorm after the party. But deep down, I knew better. When I finally saw him later that day, the shift was undeniable. We were in the cafeteria, our usual spot, the one we always claimed at the beginning of the semester. Except today, Ryan wasn't sitting next to me. He wasn't even looking at me. He sat across from me, scrolling through his phone, barely acknowledging I was there. I forced a casual smile. Dude, where'd you disappear to this morning? He shrugged, still not meeting my eyes. Just needed some air. Short. Dismissive. Not like him at all. I swallowed, pretending to focus on my food even though my appetite had completely disappeared. You good? I tried again, keeping my tone light, like nothing was wrong. Yeah. Another shrug. Another wall between us. I didn't know what to do. Ryan wasn't the kind of guy who talked about things. He wasn't the type to sit down and spill his feelings. But this wasn't normal. This was something breaking. For the rest of the day, he kept his distance. No jokes, no teasing, no random comments about whatever stupid thing was on his mind. It was like all the ease between us had evaporated overnight, leaving nothing but awkward silences and forced interactions. I felt sick. Every worst-case scenario ran through my head on repeat. Is he disgusted? Does he hate me? Did I just lose my best friend forever? I told myself I had to fix it. This couldn't be the end. That night, I tried texting him. Me. Hey, you want to order pizza? I'll even let you pick this time. No response. An hour later, I tried again. Me. Dude, can we just talk? Still nothing. He was in the dorm, I knew that. I could hear him moving around, shuffling things on his desk, the soft glow of his laptop screen spilling into the dark room. But he never turned to look at me. Never acknowledged I was there. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, my chest tight with something I didn't know how to let out. I had ruined everything, and I didn't know if I could ever get it back. It had been days since Ryan caught me. Days of silence, of forced interactions that felt like walking on broken glass. We still shared the same room, but it felt like we were living on opposite sides of the world. Every time I tried to talk to him, he brushed me off. Every time I looked at him, he looked away. I was suffocating in the space between us, waiting for something, anything, to break the tension. That night, it finally did. I was lying in bed, staring at my phone, pretending I wasn't waiting for a text that wasn't coming. The air between us was thick, the quiet stretching too long, too unnatural. Then, out of nowhere, Ryan spoke. Was that really about me? My breath caught in my throat. He wasn't looking at me, not yet. He was sitting on the edge of his bed, his back slightly hunched, hands gripping his knees. But his voice, low, strained, left no room for misinterpretation. I could have lied. I could have said it was nothing, some random moment he walked in. On that didn't mean anything. I could have pretended, shoved it all back into the dark where it had lived for so long, but I was tired of pretending. I sat up slowly, my pulse hammering so hard I could feel it in my fingertips. Yeah, I whispered. It was. Ryan exhaled sharply, like I had just knocked the wind out of him. He finally turned to look at me, his eyes unreadable, searching, my face for something I wasn't sure he wanted to find. How long? His voice was quieter now, careful. I swallowed, my throat dry. A while. His jaw clenched. He ran a hand through his hair, shaking his head slightly. Jesus, I forced myself to keep talking, even though my chest felt like it was caving in. I didn't mean for this to happen. I never wanted you to find out like that. I wasn't gonna say anything, ever. My voice cracked on the last word, and I hated how vulnerable I sounded. Ryan let out a humorless laugh, rubbing his hands over his face. So what? You were just gonna keep this secret forever? I hesitated, then nodded. Yeah, I had to. His brows furrowed. Why? I scoffed, though there was no humor in it. Because I didn't want to lose you. His face twisted. Something flashing through his expression. Pain, maybe. Or confusion. I couldn't tell. He looked away, staring at the wall like it held all the answers he needed. A thick silence settled between us. I could feel my heartbeat in my throat, my stomach twisting with every second that passed. Finally, Ryan exhaled, shaking his head again. He stopped, trying again. I don't know what to say. I nodded slowly. You don't have to say anything. But that wasn't true, not really. I needed him to say something. Anything. Ryan stood up suddenly, grabbing his hoodie off his chair. My stomach dropped. He let out a breath. I need some time. I nodded again, even though it felt like my world was tilting. He opened the door, hesitated for half a second like he might turn back, then walked out, leaving me alone in the silence. The days after Ryan left the room that night stretched out, endlessly, each one blending into the next in a haze of regret and hopelessness. I couldn't escape the feeling that everything I had built with him was slipping through my fingers, crumbling with every passing hour. Every time I saw him, it was like I was seeing a stranger, someone I had once known but no longer recognized. I had spent hours lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying that moment over and over in my mind. The way his voice had cracked when he asked if it was really about him. The stunned look in his eyes when I admitted the truth. The silence that followed, suffocating me, the door closing behind him. I should have kept it all inside. I should have let the feelings fade away quietly, like a storm passing in the distance. But instead, I had forced the truth out. And now, everything felt destroyed. Every small interaction with Ryan made my stomach twist. We shared a room, but it was like we were living in two completely different worlds. I could hear him moving around, but he never spoke to me unless he had to. His eyes avoided mine, his voice distant and cold. Sank into myself, retreating even further into the loneliness that had begun to suffocate me. I couldn't talk to him, couldn't explain myself any more than I already had. I didn't even know what to say anymore. The worst part? I was scared. Scared that I had ruined everything beyond repair. scared that my confession had shattered our friendship beyond the point of no return. Every time I looked at Ryan, I saw the wall between us, growing taller and thicker. He was slipping away, and I had no idea how to get him back. I started avoiding him. It wasn't out of spite, but out of self-preservation. I couldn't stand the way it felt to be near him, to feel the weight of my mistake pressing on both of us. I stayed in my bed more often, buried myself in my schoolwork, and made excuses to stay out of the dorm when he was around. But then, one evening, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Ryan. "Can we talk?" I stared at the message, my heart pounding. I felt a mix of relief and dread. Relief because, for the first time in days, there was a chance to fix things. Dread because I didn't know if I was ready for whatever came next. I couldn't just leave it unanswered. "Yeah, sure," I typed back, my fingers shaking slightly. A minute later, the door to our room creaked open. I didn't even have to look up to know it was him. Ryan stood in the doorway, his expression unreadable. He looked different, tired, maybe, or worn down from the same tension I had been carrying. He didn't say anything at first. He just stood there, watching me, like he was trying to figure out how to approach this. I couldn't meet his eyes. Not yet. Not after everything that had happened. Finally, he spoke. "I've been thinking." I forced myself to breathe, even though my chest felt tight, like I was suffocating. About what you said. About us." His voice was quiet but steady. "And I'm not sure I understand everything yet. But I want to, you know? I want to figure this out." I looked up then, my heart racing. For the first time in days, I saw something different in his eyes. It wasn't anger or disgust. It was something more complicated, something uncertain but still there. A glimmer of hope, maybe. I nodded, my throat tight. "Okay." He took a step closer, then stopped, his gaze never leaving mine. I need you to know that I'm not running away from this. I just need some time to figure out what this means for me." I exhaled, the weight on my chest feeling a little lighter. I get it, and for the first time in days, we didn't feel like strangers. It felt strange, meeting in the same dorm room where everything had unraveled. The room, once filled with the hum of shared laughter and quiet moments, now felt like a battleground where everything had shifted. It wasn't just the space. It was the air between us, heavy, thick, as though we were standing on the edge of something neither of us fully understood. Ryan entered the room first, his footsteps hesitant, like he wasn't sure if this was a mistake or a second chance. I watched him closely, every inch of him still the best friend I knew, but with something different now. A tension in his posture, a slight unease in the way his eyes flickered around the room. He sat on the edge of his bed opposite me, and for a moment neither of us said anything. The silence stretched, the unspoken words still hanging between us, waiting for one of us to break it. Finally, Ryan spoke, his voice softer than usual, but steady. "I don't know what this means for me," he said, his words slow, carefully, chosen. "I've been thinking about it nonstop, but I can't stop thinking about it. About you, about us." My heart skipped a beat at his words, a mixture of relief and confusion flooding my chest. I opened my mouth to say something, but no words came. It was like my body was too shocked to move. Ryan ran a hand through his hair, his eyes darting around, the room like he was searching for something that could explain this. "I never thought about it. I mean, not like that. Not until—" He cut himself off, shaking his head. "But now, it's like, every time I think I'm over it, it comes back, and I don't know what it means, man, I really don't." I could feel the weight of his words pressing on me, and the air between us grew thick with everything unsaid. He didn't know, but he felt something. Something more than friendship. Something that wasn't supposed to be there. "I don't want to lose you," I said quietly, my voice barely above a whisper. It wasn't just a fear. It was the truth. I had been terrified of losing him, of ruining everything because of something I couldn't control. Ryan's gaze softened slightly, but there was still a shadow of uncertainty in his eyes. I don't want to lose you either, man. He shifted, closer, the distance between us shrinking, but still not quite close enough. But I can't pretend I haven't been thinking about it, about you, about what this might mean, what it could be. His words hung in the air, raw and honest, and I felt a rush of heat spread through me. A mix of confusion, curiosity, and something deeper. Something that had been there all along but had only now come to the surface. Neither of us spoke for a moment, the tension between us building with every passing second. And then, almost as if on instinct, Ryan leaned in. My breath caught in my throat as he moved closer, his face inches from mine, his gaze flickering from my eyes to my lips. The room felt like it was spinning, like everything that had happened and everything that could happen was hanging in that moment. And then, he hesitated. I could see the uncertainty in his eyes, the fear of what this might mean, what it could change. But it was there. The unspoken desire, the pull between us that neither of us could deny any longer. Then, with a quiet breath, Ryan closed the gap. His lips met mine, tentative at first, like he wasn't sure if this was right, if it was real. My heart raced as I kissed him back, as if all the years of hidden feelings, of waiting in the silence, had led to this single moment. It wasn't a perfect kiss. It wasn't the kind of kiss you see in movies, with fireworks and perfect chemistry, but it was real. It was everything that had been unsaid, everything that had built up between us in the quiet spaces of our friendship. For a long moment, neither of us pulled away. The kiss deepened, the uncertainty melting away, replaced by something more. Something that neither of us could have predicted, but both of us had been searching for all along. When we finally pulled apart, our faces still close, breaths mingling, I could feel the weight of everything shifting. But it didn't feel like the end. It felt like a beginning,